Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com, and today I titled this post, "Let's see who is left on the left," because people are asking me questions, but to be honest, the question keeps changing because as people drop out, there's few and few are left to actually tune into. So just full disclosure out here, what is today? Today is Thursday the 5th, and I've been working on this and putting it together. So I was doing my recording today to get it all edited down. So if someone drops out over the weekend before I actually get this posted out there, this may change even further. So I'll give you what I have as of today. So the question: hi Lynn, would be much interested to know your stance on the remaining Democratic contenders. Always appreciate your insights. Says politics are hot right now and difficult to navigate. I think it's best if we break this down by person. So that is what I did. So first off, we'll start with Joe B here. He feels like the chosen one by the powers that were, but they're worried that they can't gain the popularity that he needs. At 77, he may not exude the popularity and the confidence to take Trump on. So that's the thing that they're really dealing with here. He has experience with the VP, also has lots of connections from when he was in that office. And the powers that were, they're hopeful the name is familiar enough to win some votes, because you know how sometimes you just hear a name and people get this knee-jerk reaction to vote just because they've heard the name before. They're hoping maybe that name's been in the homes enough that it's not so out there to go ahead and cast a vote for him. My impression is that Joe doesn't really want this position, and he was forced into it as a desperate measure by the people in power. So I feel like there was some strong arming and some coaxing to get him to even agree to take this position. So yeah, the powers that were, which for those of you who aren't sure, that I don't want to give him the I guess power of being in current reign. So we always say were rather than be, because we want these powers to be pretty much over with, and I think they're short-lived and they are coming to an end. All right, so we're going to focus on Bernie here. What's going on with him? He's been wanting socialism for decades, and he has an idealistic dream in a world that is just, it's not realistic. The powers that were, they know this, and they're worried that he's sold ideas to people that are too radical, and they're going to end up losing the Democratic votes again if he was to actually get the nomination. Investors, bankers, etc., they're all some of the most powerful people that keep economies going. Whether people like them or not, those are the people that invest, they grow small business, they buy real estate. They do help to propel the economy, and they don't want socialism here either. Capitalism is what sets the USA apart from other countries. So whether you like it or not, that's how the country grew into the power that it is now. If Bernie works to change that, the economy is going to take an enormous hit. It's not going to only hurt investors in the form of small business in the stock market, it's going to hurt the working people too. If you have a small business but you can't afford to pay every employee $15, or they go and they restructure stuff, you might have employees that are happy, maybe they make tips, maybe you don't know what the individual situation is. But if you put constraints on small business through taxes, regulation, telling people what they have to pay, all this other stuff, you're going to end up dwindling down the ability for small business to exist. And then what happens? You get these big, huge monopolies like Walmart taking over. Big, huge monopolies like Amazon taking over. That's what's going to happen if they put the taxing onto everybody else. Taxes are inevitably going to increase under a socialist regime, and the quality of healthcare is going to decline. Think about it. If you're regulated to the point where, yeah, maybe some healthcare regulations need to happen, but if you start dictating it by the government, like how they do the vets, look at what's going to happen. Yeah, maybe you get free healthcare, but how long do you have to wait to see a doctor? And if there's no competition, or doctors are being told what they have to charge, and you don't have that competitive edge, because ego and competition is another thing that's propelled this country to be successful. If you mitigate that and you take that away, people might not have the incentive to go into the medical field or do all this kind of stuff if they're going to be told and regulated as to what they're going to, earn or be able to earn. So it looks to be that they don't really want Bernie in there. They're scared of him. They're scared that he will be popular. Elizabeth Warren, what is she doing here? So I see her being there to serve as a balance of the two men. She does have a following, but I don't see her being strong enough to outlast Bernie, Joe, and Michael. I would be shocked if she's still there after this weekend. I feel like that's going to be old news by the time I publish this early next week. She has good ideas. She appeals to a small population. She's well spoken and has courage to vocalize her thoughts. But I see her dropping out shortly after Amy. I don't see her being able to last with the funding. Michael B. So there is a lot going on with him. He has an agenda, and the PTW want him if Joe fails. And if he falls through, he is the backup plan for Joe. The PTW are worried that Bernie cannot beat Trump, so the plan is to dilute the Bernie voter base to lead a pathway for Joe. He also has the money, so funding's not an issue. And the issue is popularity and the dirty way he entered the race. He wants to invoke a government that has total control of the people, and he wants to force his ideas on the population. I see that he doesn't have much respect for people or life unless those people are serving him. So you have value and you have use if you're serving him. So it's kind of one of those things. If you're not with him and you're against him, then he's against you too. So I see his personality being very aggressive in that way. Ego-wise, he's a good match for Trump, but he doesn't have the quick wit or the confidence to overpower him. So in a debate, he's not going to, he might try to counteract Trump, but I don't see him really being able to come out of a debate feeling like, hey, I'm on top, I won this, I got this. I do not see him feeling like he can actually do that. So yeah, the left and who's left, that's a tough thing. And in closing, here's an interesting thing that I got, and a point that came up when I was focusing on these contenders and feeling out the energy, was to look at the candidates. I mean, really look at these candidates. And this isn't even a psychic thing. This is my own observation. When I was putting this together and I was looking at it, I was like, wow, look at who this lineup is. You have Michael B. He's a Caucasian, 78 years old. You have Joe. He's a Caucasian man. He's 77. You have Bernie. He's a Caucasian man, 78. So the Democrats, they want to constantly talk about diversity, cause turmoil, emotion. They reinforce identity politics to keep people divided and always keeping people, oh, I'm offended because of this or I'm offended because of that. They're constantly doing that. But when it comes down to it, they're just pandering. They're creating victimhood where there is no need to create victimhood. We should be creating unity. We should be putting together ideas and things to bring people together as a collective, to reinforce our strengths, to take maybe a weakness here, combine it with a strength, and make it so much better. They don't do that. It's all about victimhood and I owe you and I'm offended for this and oh, why are you doing this? But in the end, all they are is just talk. They're just trying to pander to a voter base because they themselves are exactly what they're trying to counteract and say shouldn't be there. I thought that was a really interesting observation when I broke it down. And I got that, you know, I did hear a message at the end when I was looking at them, and it was something about do as I say and not as I do, meaning, you know, their own political party is doing exactly what they are trying to preach not to do. It's just so oxymoronish to me anyway. That was kind of my 2 cents, not really psychic reading at the end of it, but I just very interesting who is truly left in the end here. And that was really all I had for this reading. Thanks for listening. Please feel free to leave a comment, like me, share me, all those great things. In our day and age of censorship, it's just so hard to get the message out there. So, yeah, it helps a lot for all of you that share anything that I do. So I'm very grateful for that. And for now, I'm Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com. Thanks. Bye.